So in this week's Local Wildlife Wednesday, I'm going to try and raise your interest in earthworms. Of course, if you're a gardener, then you don't really need any help because you probably already like them because you know how important and helpful they are to helping your garden grow. But I think there's some really cool things about them. Firstly, there are 7,000 earthworms that call the world home, 1,000 of which are found here in Australia, but the ones we actually see in our gardens are one or two or many of the 80 introduced species. Most of our native worms prefer undisturbed soils. I found these in my compost bin and I searched probably for a minute and a half and I was able to gather, what have I got, 15 or so here. As you can see, they prefer to be wet. They need to be wet, not unlike the frog from Wildlife Wednesday 10. They prefer wet because they breathe through their skin. There are different species that will live in different areas. So species that live on the top, 20 centimetres or 30 centimetres will get some more species, and then there are worms that live even lower than that, up to a metre or so in the ground. And if you ever look really closely at an earthworm, you'll notice it's broken up into little segments. And in order to get through the soil, there's its head moving through. They've got tiny little bristles at the front of their body or near their head, and that will grip into the soil and then the rest of the body catches up. And it sort of just does that serpent crawl through the soil. And of course, like I said, in doing so, it creates these little tunnels and aerates and puffs up your soil. Now, if I still haven't raised your interest, check out this orange-sized ball of worms that I found in my compost bin a few months back when I was gardening. If that doesn't interest you, check out this earthworm I found on a farm visit. Biggest worm I've ever seen. And if that doesn't interest you, there is a worm that holds the Guinness Book of Records for being the longest, and it's in Gippsland. It's called the giant earthworm, and you can hear them underground apparently, but they're really hard to see or study because of course they never really surface. But that was 3 meters long. How cool would that be to find?